We support and we love all people. You know, if it wasn't for the white man fighting and dying for you, you could still be in the
most radical thing for anyone to say is, I am white.
This is not conservatism as we have known it. This is not republicanism as we have known it.
In the last few years, a new form of right-wing extremism by the name of the alt-right has emerged.
Real white power hour!
Define alt-right to me. You define it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying,
define it for me. Come on. Let's go.
It began in the US and is now spreading across the globe.
My solution to the Calais problem is to repatriate all the immigrants that are here and say no more can come. And I would take all these traitors and I would march them into the Channel Tunnel and I would blow the Channel Tunnel up. That's my solution.
Most in the alt-right believe that whites all over the world are under the threat of extinction.
I wonder if these refugees, vulnerable though they are, should be seen rather as the enemy, and therefore not rescued from the sea, but actually shot down. Maybe we should blow up their boats, send a torpedo and just fuck them up.
From relative obscurity, the alt-right are now increasingly organized and meet regularly behind closed doors to plan for the race war they believe is coming.
As the present order begins to disintegrate, will we be able to create a parallel and alternative structure?
The British advocacy group Hope Not Hate decided to infiltrate the alt-right to investigate what the leadership was thinking and planning.
Känner du några av dem och kan koppla ihop oss?
This is the story of a young man's year undercover with Nazis, nationalists and white supremacists.
We need to mainstream this stuff, or more precisely, we need to bring the mainstream towards us.
I mean, on some level, most of us do enjoy the idea that the world around us is going to be destroyed. We like that, right?
Patrik Hermansson's life in political activism started early. As a teenager, he was growing increasingly concerned by discrimination and repression and started working for a Swedish anti-fascist organization. When he moved to London to study in 2016, he was keen to continue his activism.
A colleague of mine in Sweden rang up and said that a friend of hers was coming to London to study, who might be interested in doing some stuff for Hope Not Hate. Would I be interested in catching up with him just for a chat?
Joe Mulhall is the head researcher at Hope Not Hate. His job is to investigate and map out fascism and racism. The findings are then published online, trying to fight discrimination and race-motivated violence.
Han säger att han har ett projekt och så förklarar han om London Forum som är en högerextrem organisation i London. Och han förklarar varför den här organisationen skrämmer honom just nu.
Very little was known about the London Forum, but what little information Hope Not Hate had was enough for them to feel concerned. Some of the largest far-right organizations in the UK, such as the National Front, appeared to use the forum as an international networking hub.
Increasingly, in the age of the internet, this is a movement that operates across borders, it organizes across borders. They travel, they speak at each other's conferences, funding goes around the world. This is what's really, really dangerous about the contemporary far right. It's an international movement. And the London Forum was a forum that facilitated that sort of sharing of information and knowledge.
The only leadership figure whose identity was known was Jeremy Jess Turner.
Jez Turner was the big face, he was the big name, he was the guy that everyone knew. the anti-racist movement, the anti-fascist movement. Everyone knew this guy really well. He'd been around for a long time, very front-facing, very loud, you know, big public speaker, that sort of stuff.
They call you an anti-Semite because you dare to agree with those who say the Jews own and control everything worth owning and controlling.
But was Turner the driving force? Who was really running things in the London Forum?
For Patrik's project, the first thing it became is first of all to map the power within the London Forum. Who was organising this? Who is it that is bringing all these people to the UK? Who is the person that has all these contacts? There's clearly someone in the London Forum that has an address book that has addresses and contact details for the most prominent fascists in the world. Who is that?
Patrik wanted to get himself in as deep as possible into the London Forum. To do so, he needed to create a fake identity. Calling himself Erik Hellberg, he posed as a student at the University College of London and created a social media persona online. In October 2016, he was ready to make contact.
Jag skickade ett mejl till den allmänna adressen och introducerade mig själv. Och då säger de liksom, ja men du är ju svensk. Du måste ju prata med Sted. För Sted höll på att lära sig svenska.
Sted Steadman's a strange character, right? You know, he was an older guy, so there was almost nothing on social media, there was nothing online. So the usual ways you'd find open source information, there was very little.
In November 2016, Patrik asks Stedman if they can meet. Sted invites him along to his favorite cafe, the Nordic Bakery in Soho. Malhol equips Patrik with a hidden camera.
När man har en kamera på så blir det något väldigt konkret liksom. En kamera går inte riktigt att argumentera med.
Hej. Hur är det med dig? Det är bra. Hur är det med dig? En bra dag idag. Ja, det är väldigt...
Han började prata svenska direkt. Han pratar ganska bra svenska.
Ja, vad kan jag bjuda dig? En kaffe bara kanske. Kaffe?
Stedman hade varit i Sverige, i Stockholm, på en konferens här. Och han berättar att han var så imponerad av den högerextrema rörelsen i Sverige. För här var folk utbildade och de hade bra jobb och de såg normala ut.
Jag tror att Sverige blev starkt.
Han är liksom fascinerad av svenska grejer överlag. Han älskar ju Skandinavien. Han ser det som liksom sitt ursprung.
Stedman's interest in Sweden comes from the belief that the Aryan race's ancestry can be traced back to Scandinavia. Keen to work on his Swedish, he asks Patrik to be his teacher.
Tack så mycket. Hej då.
Patrik sends a text to Joe to let him know the meeting is over.
Man har ju alltid kontakt när man går in och ut och så här. Nu går jag in, nu går jag ut, som en säkerhetsgrej.
He seemed remarkably calm about it all and seemed very keen to do more. And that's when we start to then say, right, okay, well, let's try and map out a vision for what we can achieve here. How far can we get Patrik up the ladder to find out the best information we can and affect the most change when he comes out and reveals what he's found?
Patrik's job was now to map out the organization, find out who was meeting who, take their photos and uncover their plans for the future. The Swedish lessons started at the Nordic Bakery in Soho.
Jag träffar honom där i princip varje torsdag eftermiddag. Det kändes genuint och genom de mötena så kunde jag hade tid att bara fråga honom om vad som helst. Med ursäkten att Vi måste hitta på något att prata om.
Om det hade inte funnits så många judar i Tyskland, national socialism skulle ha inga problem.
Patrik got very close to Stead very, very quickly. What Patrik starts to feed back is that Stead Stedman's someone we should look at. This is when we hatch the plan of the dissertation.
In order to make it possible for Patrik to ask questions as detailed as possible without raising suspicion, Patrik and Joe create a cover story that Patrik is researching the extreme right for his university dissertation.
Det visade sig att han var organisatören. Han visade sig att han var ju den viktigaste personen. Det var han som bjöd in människor. Det var han som hade alla kontakterna.
We're always worried about pushing too hard and too fast. And the way you end up doing that is if you ask too many questions. So Patrik's dissertation for us was a tool that allowed us for him to ask questions.
Min historia var att jag pluggade en master i politisk teori. Ämnet var political repression of non-orthodox right-wing thought. Förtryck av högeridéer.
Så jag vill ju visa på att det finns ett mönster, a pattern.
Ja.
Så
Using the dissertation as a way in, Patrik asks Stead if he can meet some more of his contacts from the inner circle of the alt-right.
Jag undrar om känner du några av dem och kan koppla ihop oss?
Ja, mest. Flest. Jag känner flest.
Du känner de flesta? Okej, men det är jättebra.
Så
jag tror att...
Väldigt kort därefter så började han ta med mig på olika saker.
This is Neil, this is Erik. Hello Erik, nice to meet you.
Bara träffa hans vänner och liksom organisationen, men också relaterade politiska grupper.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another meeting of the Extremist Club. Where you hear things that will shock you. Ooh. You might even hear a few home truths. Ooh. But what we have this evening maybe is slightly more relevant to a club that's trying to defend free speech.
Stedman brings Patrik along to a ceremony worshipping the Norse god Odin. Nordic mythology was something that also fascinated the first German Nazis, who, like Stedman, believed in a Scandinavian ancestry for the Aryan race.
Man börjar be till Oden för kraft till det kommande raskriget.
May your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your fellows inspire those now here who are the same age when we face an unparalleled existential threat. Hello.
With time, Stedman opened the door to the London Forum's inner political circle.
In my speech in Whitehall, I stood there, in the middle of Whitehall, opposite the mosque, the world's press all there.
Jess Turner tells Patrik what he was really trying to achieve with the controversial speech he made in front of Parliament in 2015.
I had a choice. I could give a moderate speech, or I could give something a bit more exciting, you know? And there was a time and tide in the affairs of men, yes? And that was my time. So I seized it.
Communism, the gulags, Katyn, and 100,000 massacres like them. And the Jews were not the victims. No, they were the perpetrators. 7 million during World War II, and 8 million...
Turner explains that the small crowd outside Whitehall was not the audience he was really talking to.
And you're speaking to the small crowd that's there, the opposition is shouting, but also really you're speaking to the YouTube audience.
Yeah.
You watch, thousands. So you try to stay within the law, right? Ideally, though, you want to stay within the law, just enough to encourage the enemy to prosecute or try to, and then fail. Ideally, take it to court and you win. You win. Then the average journalist could discuss it. Anyone could discuss it because the courts would not prosecute.
Listen, soldiers! Listen to me! It's time! We liberated our own country!
Turner succeeds in provoking the law. He was charged with incitement to racial hatred. It now remained to be seen whether he would succeed in pushing the boundaries of free speech to make anti-Semitism acceptable. By the spring of 2017, Patrik has Turner's and Stedman's complete trust. They begin to involve him in the daily running of the forum, where security is always paramount.
That's how it works, but he's not here today, so I've got 3 names.
He's Martin och han Vänta, okej. Wait, förlåt. Vem sa? Martin, han sitter back i rummet. Så får han någonting viktigt om du
Ju djupare in man kommer, desto mer paranoid blir man. Det här var ju ett bevis på att de litade på mig. Men jag blir bara mer paranoid. Man tänker att snart kommer de komma på mig. Det här har gått för snabbt. Bara för att Stead har släppt in dig så betyder inte det att det andra gänget kan liksom inte riktigt lita på dig. Sen då efter några månader så får jag frågan av Stead. Så han undrar om jag vill göra bakgrundskollar på människor som ska komma till forumet.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Well, it has to be. It has to be. They're out to get you.
Do you work? Yeah, do you work with this? So you're a data analyst or?
Här sitter jag, infiltratören, som också har glömt att göra bakgrundskoll på. Och gör bakgrundskollar på nya personer. Det man är ute efter är bara saker som deras politik och deras övertygelse och deras aktivism. Varför ansökte du nu liksom, och inte för 5 år sedan? Och då säger de, för Trump blev vald, jag känner att våra idéer är mer accepterade nu, rakt ut. Om man ser det liksom som ett tecken på att vinden har vänt i deras riktning. Och sen så händer det saker under året. Där Muslim ban. Det är mot bakgrund av det som allting händer. Så det var väldigt en utlösande händelse för den här rörelsen, även i Europa och Storbritannien. Det handlar om hans språk, och det är allt man behöver liksom, för att se att han är på deras sida. Han har liksom målats upp som en frälsare. Och då liksom lägger man ju saker på honom som han egentligen inte har sagt att han har stått för. Men han har liksom gjort olika former av indikationer. En viktig sak var ju att han la upp en bild på sig själv som Pepe the Frog, som är en väldigt tydlig nick till alternativhögern.
The origin of Pepe the Frog can be found in an American cartoon about teenage slackers. It was appropriated by the alt-right to spread racist jokes and propaganda.
Things like Pepe the Frog and the meme culture that they've kind of created in this online space is wrapped up in this sense of irony. Irony is a way for them to guard against people challenging them on their position. So it allows them to articulate extreme positions, and when challenged on them, say it's a joke. This little cartoon frog, well, they put it in Auschwitz and they do horrifically anti-Semitic things with it and then just say we're only joking. But what they see that as doing is normalizing people to violently anti-Semitic imagery. so that people become less shocked by it, so it becomes more normal.
Det var en bild på då Pepe the Frog mot en amerikansk flagga med Donald Trumps hår och en kostym liksom, som han la upp själv på sitt eget Twitterkonto. Sådana små grejer tas upp direkt. Det blir enormt. Så säger man ju ofta liksom att vi fick honom vald. We memed the president into the White House. Och det är något som har tagits upp liksom av media också, att här, alternativhögern fick Trump vald. Det är ju en total överdrift. Numren är inte där. Men den känslan är viktig för det som mobiliserar.
Där är han, tror jag.
Internet phenomenons like Pepe the Frog are powerful communication tools for the alt-right. When London Forum gears up for their big conference in June 2017, they invite a guest who have proved extremely adept at building an online following.
This is Erik, a great friend of mine.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Colin Robertson is one of the main speakers at the conference. Under the pseudonym Millennial Woes, he advocates extremist right-wing views, such as an end to equal rights for women.
Millennial Woes är liksom en väldigt stor YouTube-personlighet som lägger ut långa filmer med utläggningar om hans åsikter och samhället.
Women shouldn't have the vote. Because if you do give them the vote, they will mess up your psychological defenses and your legal systems, your protocols, your culture. I think a lot of women, young women, are going to start realizing that the stuff they hear in high school and at university is obviously bullshit. What if she goes with a black guy one day? I mean, that would just be such a bummer.
Anti-feminism is utterly central to understanding the modern international far right. You'll often hear about these men talking about, you know, we need to protect our women. They profess to be kind of, we're pro-women, while still talking about it in terms of ownership. Understanding that anti-women and anti-feminist politics is just as important as anti-black, anti-Muslim, anti-Semitism politics. This movement is primarily a male movement, and increasingly worryingly it's a younger movement, and anti-feminism is another thing that unites them across the board.
Where does most of your viewers come from, or where are they like located? Can't you see that on
I think it's about 60-70% Americans.
Oh, it's that much. Okay.
And the others like 20% British.
In one sense, you can dismiss someone like Colin Robertson as the sort of guy who sits in his bedroom making videos, right? But tens of thousands of people are watching these videos. The thing that he has is a reach among a younger audience and an online audience. That's why the London Forum are interested in him. And the content that's in these videos is incredibly extreme.
I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to be specific. But I think that we should be taking down names. Because after the collapse, I hope that certain people meet their just deserts. I hope that some people are punished, executed, as they should be.
Even if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the best things about your work is that you do it embracing all the kind of ambiguities of being a human being.
I hope so. But this is what's so good about it, you know. If we don't appear like angry misfits, then we will end up making friendships with people we don't agree with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important always to play with some sort of concept of chivalry and decency, traditional virtues, and and that way, that's the right way to treat people. And eventually, we will win. Yeah.
As the train approaches central London, the conversation switches to security. Many at the conference want to keep their identities hidden. It's widely known what happened to Colin Robertson in 2015, when his real identity and where he lived was revealed. He had been tracked down and doxed by his local paper in Scotland.
So has the whole doxing event, has that changed your your opinions, like in your politics in any way? Or are you more like, or the way you express it? Are you holding back, basically?
I think I am. Yeah. I'm much more careful now, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the newspapers twisted things that I had said.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make that possible. I don't want to give them opportunities to misrepresent me. And also, I'm more careful about saying extreme things because I don't ever really know who I am.
Okay, really nice to meet you. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Det är bra.
This is a Piccadilly line service to Arnold's Grove.
To try to prevent anyone else being doxxed, the location of the conference is kept secret until the last minute. The guests meet at an underground station and are led in stages to another part of town.
Som vanligt får vi inte veta var det är någonstans. Vi vet bara att det är i centrala London. Och sen så får man liksom instruktioner via sms. Jag får veta så långt i förväg vilka som ska komma. Och en av dem är Greg Johnson.
Greg Johnson is one of the leaders of the American extreme right. He is also one of the top ideologues. Through his website, he tries to give intellectual legitimacy to the idea of white nationalism.
What's wrong with diversity? Whenever we talk about diversity, increasing diversity, that is always a euphemism for having fewer white people. Why in the world would white people think that's a good idea?
Han är en extremt anonym person och han har aldrig blivit fotograferad. Det finns inga bilder på honom, man vet inte hur han ser ut, vet inte var han bor. Så att få en bild på honom, det skulle vara en stor vinst för oss.
Eric, hello. Very good to meet you. Of course, you too, mate. This is Eric.
Nice to meet you. När jag kommer dit så då står alla utanför, inklusive Greg Johnson.
One of the major problems we face to combat the modern far right is that there is just so low social cost to modern far right activism. The days where you had to sign up, go to meetings, publicly leaflet on the streets, your family knew, your friends knew, your employers would find out. Now you can just sit in your bedroom, make videos, tweet anti-Semitism to someone in a different country, and there's no social cost to that. Doxing, while controversial, there is no doubt it introduces a level of social cost to far-right activism again.
Jag får sitta bredvid Tomislav Sunic. Han är en författare och är väldigt känd. Kroatisk. Han har bott länge i USA och har stött nazistiska partier. Han var också diplomat för Kroatiens räkning i London.
The Christians are run by quasi-leftists and transgender lesbians, false Marxists, globalists. We live in a horrible society. There's no freedom whatsoever.
What university did you work
The University of California, the worst place on earth. Unless we live in a decent area, a rich area, in a white ghetto, forget it.
As the evening progresses, Patrik notices that the guests are from widely varied backgrounds. Blue-collar workers alongside academics, old-fashioned conservatives next to neo-Nazis.
Det som är jobbigt med en sån här middag, det är tiden. Mängden tid du behöver spendera med människor.
It's a great privilege for me to be standing here when sitting in this room are more than a few of the key players in this great game that the winds of history have precipitated. So please, can we hear some more of it? Thank you, Greg.
Thank you very much. What happens in a world of unbounded nihilism to different nations and races?
Well, without boundaries, there's nothing to stop people from mixing and flowing and ebbing around the globe until all borders, all distinctions are gone. What happens to racial differences? Well, if life is all about consuming and getting and enjoying experiences, there's a great advantage if you don't have any qualms about with whom you mate or date, right? Getting rid of any boundaries in that area increases your choices, increases your options as a consumer of pleasures. And eventually, if any offspring happen to be conceived, what you'll have is a sort of homogenized brown humanity that the United Nations wishes to create.
After the dinner, Johnson accepts Patrik's request for an interview the following morning.
Said, I'm taking this one. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
På morgonen efter, dagen efter, så träffades vi. Jag, han och Sted. På samma hotell, i lobbyn.
Hej.
Hur är det med dig?
Det är bra, det var bra. How would you identify your political position?
I would identify myself as a white nationalist. That states the goals that I have politically. I want ethnically defined, ethnically and racially homogeneous lands for every distinct European people that aspires to that.
What would be your suggested solution to the Jewish question? I mean, what would be your solution to that problem?
Well, the solution ultimately is to expel them
to Israel.
Yeah, to send them to the national state.
So that implies essentially it's a difficulty of the state of Israel for that purpose.
Yeah, I believe in ethnic homelands for all peoples, and that includes Jews.
Yeah.
And we have to stop letting them have it both ways and basically say, you need to go to Israel, we're going to freeze you out of our society.
Erik Johnson har ganska nära kontakt med Stedman. Och han har helt enkelt kopierat konceptet bakom London Forum och startat ett i New York och ett i Seattle. Och sen är det väldigt inflytelserik helt enkelt.
Oh yeah, can I just ask you about the Northwest Forum?
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm going to be in the US this summer.
Okay, where in the US?
I'm going to be on the East Coast, but I might go to the West Coast as well, and I haven't decided this yet. But could I come? And it's one day like here? Or?
Yeah, it's one day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vi visste ju att alternativhögern kommer från USA. Den är starkast där. Så att ska man liksom komma till kärnan av vad den rörelsen vill och hur den utvecklas, så måste man dit. Jag var inbjuden som bara att komma och vara med. Men där på flygplatsen i London så får jag ett meddelande och Erik Johnson frågar mig om jag vill hålla öppningsanförandet på konferensen. Och det säger såklart ja till, samt som jag är totalt livrädd. Och bara att man är i USA ändrar ju lite kalkyleringen att här har människor vapen.
But the US would present Patrik with yet another challenge.
Det är olagligt att filma i Washington State. Du får inte filma med dold kamera i den staten.
Patrik and Hope Not Hate decided to go to the conference anyway, without a camera.
På kvällen innan så var jag på en barbecue, grillfest ungefär med ett ganska litet gäng. 15 personer kanske. Många har bakgrund i militären. Och speciellt den här rörelsen är beväpnad. Man tränar ju aktivt för någon form av liksom väpnad konflikt. Jag är ganska säker på att det kommer hända. Det var liksom kretsen runt Greg Johnson då. Och de här människorna pratar liksom om det kommande raskriget. Om vad de liksom önskar åt antifascisterna. Att vi måste hänga antifascisterna i lyktstolparna. Liksom. Upptäcker de att jag är jag, så kunde det gå riktigt illa. Jag var riktigt rädd.
It always works on the basis that you don't have to do it. You know, there's a question of like, you can walk from this. Patrik never wanted to, really. And the conversations after some of that stuff, you sure? You know, you sure want to do this? And he said, yes, I'll go to the meeting tomorrow again. And he goes back and went and did it.
At the Northwest Forum, all cameras are strictly forbidden. Many participants belong to the aggressive white nationalist group True Cascadia. Some belong to the US military and are careful not to have their identities revealed. They are even reluctant to let Patrik film his own speech, but allow him finally to record himself using his phone.
So the reason I'm here is that Greg asked me to talk about what I'm researching at the moment. So I'm doing a research project on repression of right-wing thought, anti-globalist thought, traditionalist.
Ämnet var ju liksom implicit redan bestämt. Liksom, för jag var ju killen som skrev om förtryck av högern.
Many of us know somebody who doesn't use their real names. And why do we do this? Obviously it's because we're afraid of infiltrators. We're afraid of getting attacked by the Antifa. And that's what I would argue is a society, a culture that has been built over a long period of time by groups of people and organizations that don't like our ideas.
Det var det läskigaste jag gjort i hela mitt liv. Väldigt obehagligt. Hela affären.
From Greg Johnson's secretive organization, Patrik is now on his way to the East Coast, where the alt-right has its roots. Washington, D.C. is the home of the alt-right corporation, led by Richard Spencer, who coined the phrase alt-right. Unlike Stedman and Johnson, Spencer seeks the limelight.
I really can't tell you how inspired I am by all of you coming out. There has been an awakening, and we've all felt it. There has been a change in our...
Richard Spencer, perhaps the best known alt-right figure in the world, he was the de facto leader. In the run-up to the Trump election and in the wake of the Trump election, he became a national celebrity in America.
Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
He would speak at university campuses, and his videos would get big hits, and lots of kind of younger people would find him exciting.
And now, the alt-right's upcoming star is introduced.
I'd like to invite Jason Giorgiani to the stage.
Giorgiani is heading strategy and publishing.
Jason, welcome.
So, in light of the outcome of the recent election, in which I think the rise of the alt-right was the decisive factor, it's especially meaningful for me to be here with you as the leader of what is, frankly, the most significant press in the alt-right.
After yet another introduction from Stedman, Patrik is now on his way to meet Giorgiani to ask him about the rapid rise of the alt-right. They meet in a bar in New York.
This movement has mass appeal because it is the counterculture now. It is the underdog. We are the anti-establishment, ironically.
Giorgiani tells Patrik that he and the alt-right corporation has been lobbying the administration.
Let me tell you, I had contact with the Trump administration. This alt-right corporation was not just like I came up with some harebrained idea by myself, like, oh, I'm just gonna... No. But the alt-right would become like the policy group for the Trump administration. And the guy who was the interface was Steve Bannon.
I need to go to the back.
Giuliani claims that his contact with the Trump administration was cut short after Steve Bannon fell out with Trump. Giuliani says that the administration should listen to him and ally with Europe, India and Japan in order to create a new superpower. China and the entire Muslim world should not be allowed to join.
I think in 25 years, Muslims will reach the same number as Hindus and begin to surpass them in India. We have to stop it. And I'm afraid to say that's not going to be free. We need Pakistan needs to be destroyed in a nuclear war. And that nuclear conflict will also probably take out a lot of Muslims. Because they will side with Pakistan. They will be considered an internal enemy. And then they'll be a it's going to be awful. We will take control of India.
What do you think of that?
At the cost of a few hundred million people.
Han är egentligen inte kanske värre åsikter än någon annan i den här rörelsen. Men han har tänkt ett steg längre. Han har på något sätt stakat ut en plan. Och samtidigt som han har liksom en vision över hur han vill att samhället ska se ut som är ganska tydlig. För han visste vad han ville och han visste vad det skulle kosta. Och det skulle kosta är ganska extremt.
Let me put it this way. We will have a euro in 2050 where the banknotes have Adolf Hitler, Napoleon Bonaparte, Alexander the Great. And Hitler will be seen like that, like Napoleon, like Alexander, not like some weird monster who is unique in his own category. No, he's just going to be seen as a great European leader, like Napoleon. He had his problems, he made big mistakes.
Giuliani and Spencer are trying to unite the extreme right globally. As a first step, Spencer is concentrating on making the American far right come together under the banner Unite the Right.
Charlottesville, before we go, August 12th, right? Yes. August 12th, Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. That's going to be August 12th. So everyone here, come out to Charlottesville. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It was evidently clear from all of our research that Charlottesville was going to be a moment. There was no doubt. The alt-right is ostensibly an online movement, and Charlottesville was a place where we were going to see this massive online activist come offline.
In Charlottesville, Virginia, politicians have decided to remove a statue of the controversial Civil War commander Robert T. Lee. For the alt-right, Lee is a powerful symbol of the American South's history of racial segregation, a memory they're keen to preserve.
Folk har ju flygit dit från hela landet. Jag ska börja klockan 12, jag är där 9 eller så. Och det är redan helt fullt med människor. Unite the Right är redan där och de har liksom nästan fyllt den här lilla follan runt den här statyn. Det är poliser överallt, poliser på taken, det flyger en helikopter över. Runt den här då, som är utanför parken och utanför fastigheten, så står det små grupper som är liksom milisgrupper. De har full militär mundering och automatvapen. Och innan i själva demonstrationen så är ju folk, de är klädda och beredda på liksom våld.
Counter-demonstrators begin to surround the right-wingers' enclosure. The atmosphere grows more and more tense.
Innan klockan 12, så innan egentligen ska börja, kommer polisen och skriker i megafon att demonstrationstillståndet har dragits in.
They were asked to disperse. They've retracted the permit. Some are leaving, but far from all of them. Some are taking on gas masks instead.
The police are telling us we have to leave. Fuck that. Yeah, fuck that. Tell everyone, fuck that. Hey, stop leaving! We have a permit to be here! Stay here!
Och det är då allt liksom sätter igång.
We're gonna stay! 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 We're gonna stay!
Folk blir väldigt upphetsade. Då känner man att den här situationen är farlig liksom.
Right-wingers gets more and more aggressive, and a few counter-demonstrators respond by macing them. The police decide to force Unite the Right to call off the demonstration. This causes rising tension.
Do a job, white man! And we're asking you today not only to defend people with free speech just as much as you defend them, but then that way to defend your own kind free speech, you fucking pieces of shit!
De går med de här människorna och de är så arga. Sakerna de säger i tåget är så här, bland de värsta sakerna jag har hört liksom, det hela året nästan. Jag vill bada i blodet av olika minoritetsgrupper liksom.
Patrik and Unite the Right are escorted away from the statue. They are heckled by counter-demonstrators all along the way.
Så jag bara går där och tittar. Det är precis då den här bilen kör rakt in i främre delen av den demonstrationen.
Go!
Och sen så kommer liksom bara hela folkgruppen kommer som en våg och bara springer mot mig. Det är panik liksom. Då helt plötsligt ser man ju att det ligger en människa på marken liksom. Då är det den här mannen Fields som har kört sin bil rakt in i första delen av demonstrationen, och han var i den här follan med mig och Spencer och hela det här gänget.
The man who allegedly drove the car into the demonstration was 19-year-old Alex Fields, injuring 35 people and killing one, Heather Heyer. She was a 32-year-old paralegal from Charlottesville who often did voluntary work for the socially disabled. She posted a final message on Facebook before the demonstration.
Jag är chockad över att det hände där och då. Det kan man nog aldrig vara beredd på. Men jag är inte så förvånad. Såna här saker måste hända om du kontinuerligt avhumaniserar människor. Det är liksom den logiska följden av den här rörelsen. Liksom det är det här det leder till. Även om många av dem inte ens vill utöva våld själva, så är det någonting som leder till våld. För att man uppmuntrar till det här sättet att tänka om andra människor.
The whole of the alt-right commented on the killing at Charlottesville, ranging from at the very extreme end of celebrating it through to the other end, explaining it away.
I think of what's happened at Charlottesville as more of an opportunity than a crisis. And I think that we need to gather our thoughts and think about ways that we could turn this to our advantage. And we need to go on the attack. I will do everything in my power to make sure this guy gets a good lawyer.
Fields has been charged with first-degree murder and could face life in prison. In the aftermath, the White House raised doubt on who was really responsible. Donald Trump long refused to condemn the killing at Charlottesville. Initially, he played down right-wing terrorism by suggesting that both sides were to blame.
Define alt-right to me. You define it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying,
define it for me. Come on, let's go. Define
Senator
it.
McCain defined them as the same group.
Okay, what about the alt-left that came charging at him? Excuse me. What about the alt-left that came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right? Do they have any semblance of guilt?
This is Senator McCain's statement.
Let me ask you this. What about the fact that they came charging with clubs in their hands, swinging clubs? Do they have any problem? I think they do. So, as far as I'm concerned, that was a horrible, horrible day. Wait a minute. I'm not finished. I'm not finished, fake news.
Back in London, Patrik and Hope Not Hate reviewed their research into the London Forum and the alt-right. In September 2017, their report was published online. The reaction from media outlets worldwide was huge. As the dust starts to settle, Patrik Hermansson returns to his studies, continuing to track right-wing extremism. His year inside the alt-right has finally come to an end. Patrik has made important discoveries, but this has also come at a price. Patrik now lives at a secret address. But for Patrik and Joe Mulhall, the fight continues.
The struggle against the alt-right and the struggle against fascism more generally is kind of a never-ending struggle. 1945 didn't finish it. If fascism didn't end in the gas chambers, it's not going to end in a New York Times article. But it's a hammer blow, right? And it's about landing constant hammer blows, and it's about pushing them back into the corner, stopping them from entering the mainstream. It's by continuously fighting that we will make sure that it doesn't rise again in the way that it has in the past.